finish off 2022 with a bang. First, we'd like to thank everyone as a record number of you took advantage of our Thanksgiving 7-day special. We hope you enjoyed the convenience of getting your favorite handicappers plays daily during the hectic holiday weekend. And we also know that December can be a frenzied month with the holidays and all the sports in play. In the spirit of the season and due to the success of the Thanksgiving special, we are now offering a rest of the calendar year special to get every NFL, college bowl game, NBA, NHL, or any other sport your favorite handicapper releases through December 31st for only $1.99. The early bird really does catch the worm for this special as it starts the day you sign up. No coupon is needed and you pay only $1.99 today or pay $1.99 in a few days. The choice is simple. Let's have a great ending to 2022.
What's going on, guys? Happy Monday and welcome in right here to Wager Talk TV. It is $9 Monday. Every single play released and up, available right now, listed for just $9. That's every single sport, including hockey, of course. And guys, of course, for those $9 plays, it's good for the weekend. You know, we've got college football, big games coming up here soon. NFL, of course, and so much more. So anything at the page today listed for only $9. Carmine is in Vegas, and we don't want him working while he's away with his lovely wife, so we want him to relax and have some fun. So we've got Bryan Leonard joining us, and Bryan has had an outstanding NHL record the past, not just 2 or 3 years, past 5 years altogether. So, Bryan, happy to have you here, man. Look forward to breaking down some of these games with you. And for a Monday, Bryan, we've actually got some pretty good games going.
Yeah, we really do. And you mentioned Carmine coming to Vegas. I had the chance to go out and have lunch with Carmine yesterday and watch some NFL plays. And Prez is also in Vegas, and Prez never called me to get together. So this is a great weekend for me. I got to see Carmine, didn't have to see Prez.
Yeah, perfect. He didn't call you, and Carm called you. That's great. No, I know Carm's always great about connecting with everybody, and you guys are always great when people come to town to reach out and chat and hang out. So that's awesome. Bryan, how was your weekend overall? NFL, NHL, anything you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, we've had a good run for the last week or so. I did go 0-3 in the NFL yesterday, and it was one of those. I call it Plinko. A couple other guys have called it that in the past. In 1 minute, I think I'm 0-3. Next minute, I think I'm 1-2. Next minute, 2-1. Yeah. Ended up falling 0-3, but we did sweep college basketball 4-0, so that was good. But the people that bought the NFL, I apologize for the losing day.
Hey, there's plenty more weeks, and I know you've had a lot of great weeks as well. And hey, the college basketball sounds like that was pretty good. So for me, I believe it was a 2-1 NFL day yesterday. It was just props for me. It was a rare day for me where the official plays were just props. The one play I was going to release was the Giants. That one ended up being pretty sweaty, even though it would have won. I was kind of happy I didn't release it because that was just a weird game overall. But a 2-0 NHL day for me, guys. I'm on a 10-3 NHL run after a slow start to the season. It happened again to me, Bryan. I got a really bad start to my NHL season, and now I'm just climbing out and hopefully just get on a massive roll again. So 10-3 run. And hopefully we can build off that. Today's games we're getting into, we've got the Vegas Golden Knights and Boston Bruins, and that's just unbelievable run there from the Boston Bruins. We'll see if Vegas can take them down. The Blues and Rangers, Capitals, Oilers, and the last game, my Montreal Canadiens in Vancouver to take on the Canucks. Let's start things off with the first game here with the Vegas Golden Knights in Boston to take on the Bruins here. This is going to be a good matchup, a fun game to watch. We've got Boston -170, Vegas +145, total at 6. If you want the puck line, +145 for the Bees. I mean, Bryan, this Bruins team has a record of 20-3. They have 3 losses, and I don't think any of those have come at home. It's unbelievable what they've done. They've been so rock steady. Their goaltending, their defense has been pretty good, and it's kind of been the big thing I've been talking about with some of these teams that are off to these great starts. It's not just their offense that's going very well. Look at the New Jersey Devils. Everybody wants to talk about their offense. It's the defense that's performing very well too, and I think that has to be considered in the conversation for the Boston Bruins, how many goals they're giving up here Total at 6. I'm actually going to lean towards the under in this one. Look, 2 teams that can score, 2 teams that have some offense, and no doubt about it. You take a look at, the fact that missing Pietrangelo is huge, and some injuries that have definitely bothered the Vegas Golden Knights. Looks like Jack Eichel is questionable for tonight's game. Just wanted to double check on that really quick. But I like the under here. It seems to me when Boston plays like other top tier opponents, they really kind of buckle down defensively, and that's when we see their games go under. I've only really seen confident overs for the Boston Bruins when they've played weak opponents. Against really good teams, I expect really good defensive battles at home. What are your thoughts, Brian?
Well, I'm going to revisit this once again when we get to the best bets, so I'm teasing it a little bit there. But, I'm still kicking myself for not playing Boston against Colorado. I've been wrong on Colorado. Used them the other day, and they get shut out. This just isn't the same Colorado Avalanche team as what we saw last year. At least now they've got a lot of injuries. But, yeah, that was a pretty cheap number, Boston against Colorado the other day. And in retrospect, it always looks like, wish I had played it. But I'm not going against Boston right now. You mentioned it. This team is playing well. I believe they're 13 straight at home. And they're doing it defensively. And it's interesting tonight because their former coach, the one they got rid of in the offseason, and the Vegas Knights are coming to Boston. There's been a lot of talk in the paper this week about this coming back as a homecoming for the Vegas coach. And it should be a fun time there because he did have a lot of success in Boston. But as you know, season ticket holder for Vegas, watch every road game. You mentioned Pietrangelo. He's their number one offensive guy on the defense. He and Theodore are the 2 big scorers coming out of the defense. He hasn't played in the last few. It's personal reasons. Hope everything's fine with him and his family, so it's not an injury or anything. But that's been a concern in their scoring. And if you've watched Vegas as of late, the timing, I talked about this last week when I was on, the timing of the passes just isn't there yet. They were playing perfect ball or perfect hockey when they were winning, but now they're a little bit off, and that's been a concern. And you mentioned Eichel. Eichel comes back from getting hit in the eye actually, by his own player on a shot a few days ago. Big black eye, and he's got a longer vision screen all the way down, so it's harder for him to breathe for one thing because of that. But he's got to protect his eye, and he went out in the third period. There wasn't much talk about it at the time in the last game, but he played pretty well until then. But he left early. I heard it's a lower body injury. They always seem to say it's a lower body injury, but we'll see if he plays. He wants to play. I mean, he's close to his hometown. He wants to play in this game. It's a big game for him. I don't know if Vegas will let him play because, to be totally honest with you, the line tells you that Boston should be able to win this game if Vegas is a substantial underdog. But Vegas has played very well on the road this year. You're getting the combination of a good road team against a great home team. Should be a lot of fun, but I'm not going to go against Boston in this one.
Yeah, and Jack Eichel, like you said, he seems to always play well whenever he visits Boston. It's, like you said, close to home for him in a good spot. It's so crazy because you look at the minus 170 that we're being offered here for the Bruins. And, I mean, when they have only 3 losses on the season, it's justified. I mean, it's a price that you're like, oh, it makes sense. They're winning games. And you can think, okay, well, it's funny because, Brian, all the cliche handicapper terms, right? Like the letdown spot, look ahead, sandwich, all these different things people say, none of that has come true for the Boston Bruins. None of it, right? Like you could look at any typical angle you want to try and think of, because the only thing I would think of right now is that, you know what? They have played some tough competition recently. Tampa Bay, Florida, Carolina, Tampa Bay again, and then Colorado. They have been through it, and yet they've won all those games, right? Like that's what's crazy is that, not one. I mean, most teams would be happy to like split those games or win 60% of them, not win all of them. And the Vegas Golden Knights come into town, and it's not like they're on much of a run themselves, right? Like they're literally a team that's a win one, lose one team right now, or win one, lose two at this point. And guess who the teams that they're beating are like? It's the Detroit Red Wings, If you're the Vegas Golden Knights and what you've done, the pieces that you've traded off, beating Detroit isn't good enough right now for you. You need to be a little better than that. But yeah, my play is the under on this game, and Brian's got a bet for this game that I like quite a bit at the end of the show here in the best bet segment. But we'll keep things rolling for the next game with the Blues and Rangers. Let's jump into this one here, Brian. And this one is just a funny one too. I mean, the Rangers 170, St. Louis plus 145, total at 6, shaded towards the under. If you want the puck line for the Rangers, minus 1.5 is plus 150. You know, it's really crazy for this St. Louis Blues team. Carm talked about how, you know, the NHL is such a streaky league, and you want to try and pick teams on the start of their streaks. And it's just, it's this Blues team that was on a massive losing streak. Then they go on a big winning streak, Brian. And then they go on a losing streak again. Is this team ever going to just have a win one, lose one mentality, or are they going to just decide in spans of a week when they want to win or lose games? It's crazy. And then for this Rangers team, for them, I mean, they're clearly underachieving, but it's also because their defense and their goaltending just hasn't been as great as it usually is. What are your thoughts here in this matchup?
Yeah, this is a game where it's tough to put a lot of confidence in either team you want to back. You mentioned St. Louis, the up and down season that they've had. From a talent standpoint, I think there's a lot of value here on St. Louis, but do you really want to trust them in this situation? You mentioned how they've been playing, haven't been playing as well this year. But from a talent situation, they should be better than what they are. But then again, the Rangers, we saw what the Rangers could do last year. They surprised a lot of people, but they need so much out of their star goalie to be able to win. He's been good, but he hasn't been like he was last year, and that's been the problem here with the Rangers. They were getting perfect play out of him last year. The Rangers, they haven't been able to score this year, and they traded away Ryan Reeves. The same thing happened in Vegas. He didn't put up enough scoring for them to be able to keep him. Now he's in Minnesota with Flower again, and I'm sure he's enjoying that. But when you trade away your enforcer because you need more scoring, that's not a good thing here for the Rangers. So I can't say I'd like. I won't be on this game either way. But if I had to play it, I just talked about Boston being the side that I prefer in that game. But to be totally honest with you, out of the rest of these games, I think there's some value here on the underdogs. So I'm not going to be on St. Louis. Maybe if I get 150, maybe I'll get on them. But it's on the border right now. But I can't lay this number with the Rangers. You talked about Boston with letdown situations and all. Boston and New Jersey have been two teams that no matter the situation, they still come out and win. I just was really surprised the other day when they went into Philadelphia, and that at least I considered it a very cheap line against the Flyers, and the Flyers hung in there for 2 periods, but Jersey wins. The Rangers are a team right now I just can't lay this number on. They're just not playing well, and I'm not scoring enough goals. So I kind of like the the underdog here. If it gets to 150, it may make my card.
It's definitely a great price in a matchup where both teams haven't done much to convince us that either of them should be minus 170. The Rangers, this is a reputation price. This is what they should be, in a regular game, not really what they are right now. That's just a fact. Right? It's confusing. But you look at this Rangers team dropping games back to back to the Chicago Blackhawks and then to the Ottawa Senators, or I guess in the different order there. Ottawa and then to Chicago. So, I mean, that's just, to me, we're looking at how many goals they're giving up. But now the problem isn't even as much as the goals they're giving up. It's also struggling to score themselves. Like Alexis Lafreniere and Capo Caco Bryan are 2 players that were drafted during the New York Rangers rebuild. Every team does it. Every team has their own rebuild. They trade away picks and stuff like that. And Lafreniere is a player that came out of a league that's close to actually where I live. I got to watch the guy. Every single building that he played in when he was a visitor would sell out just to watch him play. They weren't even going to watch their team, the home team. They were going to watch the road player play. This guy was supposed to be the next, superstar, right? He has 7 points. He has, less points than some defensemen in the league right now. And Capo Caco, same thing for him. I think he has 8 points, something like that. Right now, there's far too much pressure on Zibanejad and Kreider for the Rangers. But the fact is, I still think there's overall talent on the Rangers, and I think that there's enough guys that can do it against the Blues team that has goaltending issues right now, I believe, and defensive issues, giving up 6 to the Penguins, 6 to the Hurricanes, 4 to the Stars, 4 to the Panthers, 5 to Tampa Bay, 6 to Buffalo. This is a team giving up goals, and I think at home, where the Rangers play much better, it seems like, it's a good chance for them to get some goals. But I also think the Blues can continue to score as well. The Rangers, like I said, I don't trust their defense. Bryan, I'm going over 6 in this game. I like some goals in this one. I think New York is a better team at home as far as goals are concerned. I'm worried about their goaltending, though, so I'll look for some goals. Also, the Blues have just been on an interesting travel schedule, so hopefully that can kind of help me out a little bit as far as fatigue and some sloppy mistakes and stuff like that. But I'm going to look for some goals. Bryan, looking towards the underdog a bit potentially. And Bryan, so you're saying this is kind of one of those spots where if you're playing the dog, it would be later in the day, right?
Yeah, if I can get the right number. And you mentioned New York playing better at home, or being better at home. Well, they're 1-7 straight up the last 8 games they played at home. So I don't even know. Last year they were great at home. This year it just hasn't continued. So yeah, it's one of those. And this card, it does have some underdogs that you've got to hold your nose and play. And that would be the way you'd have to play St. Louis here.
I definitely wouldn't be laying that chalk with the Rangers. That's for sure. But I'm hoping for some goals, Bryan. We'll see if we can get them. The Washington Capitals and the Edmonton Oilers, the next one to break down here for us. Edmonton -160, Washington +135, and it was an entertaining night for me the other night as a Montreal Canadiens fan, watching them play against the Oilers, because that was just an insane hockey game. That was just back and forth. The teams were trading goals. Who knew what was going to happen in that hockey game? And I got some people going on Twitter. Look, I'm a huge McDavid fan. I think he is amazing, the best player in the league right now, Bryan. But I got some people going on Twitter right now. Would you believe me, Bryan, if I told you that he is not even in the top 50 as far as points right now, 5-on-5? Would you believe me if I told you that? That is unbelievable. The guy just does it all he's so talented. I'm not talking any smack, but their power play is lethal. If you give any of the Oilers power plays, they're going to score on you.
Yeah, that's the way it is. And it's a situation for Edmonton that's the objective of the team that they play. Don't get put in the penalty box.
Yeah.
We've seen it before. There's certain teams out there. Washington's another team. They're over the years, their penalty kill, their man advantage, obviously with the superstar there, that's a team you just cannot have penalties against. And when you do, you're asking for trouble in that regard.
It's great. I mean, it's some teams just have the ability to just consistently make you pay on the power play. You just can't go. You can't send them to the power play. Let's take a look at Washington. Really, what they've done recently. I mean, dropped 2 games. They played Calgary, Seattle, Vancouver. Obviously, they're just wrapping up this road trip here. And I always talk about these West Coast road trips, and I always mention that the later these road trips go on, the tougher it gets for them. And now you're running into an Edmonton team that what I want to say is that I don't always read into quotes. I'm not a handicapper that just will take something, a quote that a coach says and just completely believe it. But I like that the Oilers weren't completely satisfied after that victory over the Canadiens. They pretty much realized we played a bad game, but we won. Right? Like the coaching staff, it took a lot of bad penalties. We weren't happy. We didn't take care of the puck very well, but we came out on top. I think these two teams are in different classes right now, Bryan. I do. And I get what you're saying about this being a dog slate, but I don't know if Washington is live here. But the only thing that worries me is that they're off 2 losses. Edmonton's actually been playing decent lately. I know Washington will have that motivation, but I don't know if they could do it against an Edmonton team right now. What are your thoughts here in this matchup? I'm tempted to actually lay it with the home team.
Are you really? I won't be on the home team. I probably won't be on the visitor. In fact, I know I'm not on the visitor anyway. But yeah, Washington's 3-11 straight up on the road this year. They have not played well on the road. Slowly getting guys back into the lineup a little bit. This will be a team as they get healthier, will be able to make some money on, especially if they continue to lose early. You find that a lot in sports where people just look at the records as opposed to looking at who's actually on the field, which is why, in the NFL, if at the end of the year, the team that wins the Super Bowl is usually the team that's the most healthy all season long. And that's the way it is in the NHL. You've got to look at your guys. Colorado, we talked about them earlier. They've still got some key guys out. So when you're looking at sports, you just can't look at records. Although I've lost on, I guess, going against the Minnesota Vikings the last 3 or 4 weeks. They continue to outplay what I think they should have done, but it happens. It happens. But Washington, I think, I'm not sure they're going to win this game. I think it'll be competitive. Edmonton's a team, at least in my opinion, this year, they haven't played nearly as well as they had in the past. If you get in trouble with them, either one of these teams, I will make the bold prediction that either one of these teams, if they have more than one penalty more than the opposition, that's the team's going to lose. Because I want both these teams, when they've got an advantage on the court or on the ice, and the refs could call penalties anytime they want. And we've seen some really good information out there where if one side gets a penalty, the chances the other side gets the next penalty is higher than what you would think. So there is some of that in the league where they try to balance it out a little bit. But you were talking about teams with a lot of pressure, and Edmonton does that. I was watching the Vegas-Pittsburgh game the other day, and Pittsburgh put that constant pressure on. Vegas had, a 2-0 lead in the game, and then Pittsburgh kept coming. They couldn't stop them. Great game by Pittsburgh, and that's the way, this Edmonton team could play. So I'm not going to get there with Washington, but I'd lean slightly with them. But I'd rather pass on this one and put my money in other places where I like it better.
It's a game that we could look towards in-game live. I know it's not something that obviously does anything for our viewers and listeners right now, but it's something that you want to watch and see, which team is carrying the pace offensively, which team is getting the chances, and then, of course, the power plays are really crucial. I would lean towards the over in this game. Not going to lie, I would definitely lean towards goals here. Again, it's an angle I always look for a team nearing the end of their road trip, and that's the case with Washington out there in the West Coast, and playing teams like Seattle and Calgary. That's not easy. It's not fun either for them. It's two teams that will give you a run for your money, and now you got to play Edmonton, that is extremely, extremely fast. All right, Bryan, I'm curious here to hear what you have to say about my Montreal Canadiens. They're taking on the Vancouver Canucks. They're in the middle of a road trip of their own. Like I mentioned, they just played Edmonton. They're plus 170 dogs here. Vancouver minus 200. You take a look at Vancouver with how they've played recently. Well, I mean, they're a team that's very hard to figure out right now because they will lose a bunch of games that they probably should win. And then they go ahead and beat Colorado and Vegas, and then they lose a couple games here and there. They're a team that's a little bit tough to figure out, They were down against Arizona, and they crawled back and won that one in overtime. They're a team that's tricky, but Montreal, they're always a live dog, but they take far too many penalties. We talk about power plays, Bryan. As a Montreal Canadiens fan and someone that watches them, I feel like I have a good read on them. When I bet on this team or bet against them, they take a lot of penalties, and that's really what killed them against the Oilers. But here, my play is over 2.5 team total for the Canadiens. I've done this before. When they're big underdogs, some might ask, well, why not just take the money line if you feel like they're going to, get you 3 goals? Well, you can split your bet, half money line, half team total, whatever you please. But I'm confident against this Vancouver team that gives up goals to teams even like Arizona, that Vancouver will give up goals to the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know for sure if they're going to win the game, but I think we can get to 3 goals for the Montreal Canadiens. Looking at teams that they've been able to put up those numbers against, I feel like they can do it against a Canucks team that I think has kind of sloppy defense. So what are your thoughts here on that one? And what about this game altogether?
Yeah, I'm 100% backing what you just said. Vancouver's lost 3 or 4 games at home. The only win, they had to go to overtime against Arizona. That's not impressive. And when we talk about, earlier we were talking about teams with spots, letdown spots, bounce back. Vancouver has been the total opposite. Every time you thought Vancouver was going to come up with a big game after having a terrible game, they never did. This is a team that right now I don't want to back. They were in Vegas the other day. They dominated Vegas, but that was more of a Vegas thing than it was a Vancouver thing. Vancouver right now, I just don't trust them at home. They're not playing well enough. And, Montreal, I think we're getting, 2 years ago, Montreal goes to the championship. Last year, they lost a lot of players. They stunk. They were lousy. We made a lot of money going against Montreal. And if you were to tell people what Montreal's record is, it would be a surprise to them because they've been going right under the line, and nobody's paid much attention to them. But they've had a pretty good season. Like I said, they won 4 of the last 6 on the road. They give you a good battle each and every night they're out there. I put on Montreal as my free play today, and I gave it out to clients as a 2-unit play. I like Montreal, and I am going to add to your thoughts on that and play Montreal team total over for a couple of units. I like that also. Thank you for talking me into that because I was right on the border about I wanted to get your opinion since that's your team. But yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that Montreal's the right side in this game. You just cannot trust Vancouver the way they're playing. And I'm sitting here wearing a Canucks jersey. So it just tells you the teams I root for are not the same teams that I bet for. So give me Montreal. Give me the over in the team total, but I also like them in this plus 170 range here for the Canadiens.
Awesome. Happy we're on the same page with that there, Brian. And do you recommend that I split? Like, wait, do you think I'm crazy for doing that? Like, for taking team totals a lot with these underdogs? Because it's something that I've done that I haven't bet the big plus price a lot, but I've been taking team totals. I've done it with other teams too, of course, not just the Habs. But honestly, though, it has worked in my favor sometimes where the team will get 3 goals and then they'll lose 5-3, which is kind of a nice feeling. But am I crazy for doing that and not playing the plus money?
No, not at all. In fact, there's certain teams like in Edmonton that you expect them to score. They don't always win because of the defensive goaltending, but they're going to put some goals on it. So if they're an underdog, maybe you play their team total over, or there's other teams that do that as well. Seattle right now. How can you go against playing the Seattle team total over? They're just scoring on everybody right now. So, sometimes that's the better way to look at it. I do that in other sports. I'll see a team, and I don't think the offense is going to be able to move the football in the NFL. I'll play the team total under. It works out very well. So, yeah, that's a different way to approach the games, and I think it's very profitable.
Awesome. Happy to hear it there. And I still hope they can cash that big plus money underdog ticket, though. That's for sure. I'll be putting the pot of coffee on for the late night game here for me here in the far East Coast against the Canucks. They're the Canadiens on the road. Once again, $9 Monday, guys. Every single package available at Wager Talk, listed for just $9. And one thing I wanted to say, which I'm sure Brian would agree with me, we encourage you to check in, on the website maybe 1 or 2 times a day. If you're someone that doesn't buy just all access packages, not everybody has all their picks up at 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. You want to make sure you're getting to getting the right guys that you want, but also not just checking at one specific time of day. Like, I'm not sure about you, Brian, but I literally dedicate certain times of the day for certain sports. Obviously, hockey is probably my main sport. I host the show and everything, and that's a sport that I do the highest volume with, I'd say. That's my priority number one, and I dive into NCAA and I dive into NBA. And for me, it's mostly been props this year. So for anybody looking at my NBA and what they want to get, if I have a package up, I'm not getting that till like later in the afternoon, unless it's a big play I put up earlier. What about you? What are your thoughts on that? I don't feel like people talk about that enough, but if I want your plays, Brian, and I don't see him there at 11 a.m., I'm going to come back at 3 and be like, hey, where's this guy's play? I think people have to realize that not everyone's plays are up right away.
Yeah, it's a situation that I do the same thing. In fact, today I've got 4 shows I'm on, so it's tougher for me to put some plays up at this point. But I did some stuff overnight. But yeah, if the goalie's not going to matter to me, I put my hockey up early. If I'm waiting on a goalie, I might put it up a little bit late. College basketball, something like that, I put up as early as possible. NBA, I wait until late because there's so many guys sitting out, so many guys are supposed to play, they don't play. You don't want to get caught betting on a team with a superstar and then they end up resting them as the day goes on. So that's the worst part about the NBA, which is why a lot of us don't put up the plays until an hour before game time. And to be totally honest with you, we're costing ourselves sales because of that, but we all want to win. I would rather win and get no sales than get 100 sales and lose a play. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get you the best information. When we're betting it, we're giving it to you, and that's the way it should be. And I agree. You can't get everything up early as much as you would like to, and it's worked out well for both of us.
Absolutely. Again, guys, $9 every single play available at wagertalk.com right now. Let's jump into best bets. Bryan, we'll start with you. Best bet. Oh, I forgot about my buy and sell segment. I'm ready for this one too this week. I can't wait for this one. Let's jump into the buy and sell segment. Then we'll get into the best bets shortly after, guys. Looking forward to it. Guys, this is the buy and sell segment. Of course, every single week, every single Monday, I jump into this and we try and find one team to bet on and one team to bet against. This week, we are taking a look at the Carolina Hurricanes for the buy team. Guys, this is a Carolina Hurricanes team that, first of all, had a lot of high hopes going into the season. I mean, they've got great goaltending, good defense, and a lot of depth at the forward position. It took them some time to string it together. They had a slow start, I would argue, to the season. But you take a look at the stretch they're about to go through, playing teams like the Ducks, the Red Wings, even the Islanders, I don't think are on the same page as them. And they've got some home games eventually at the end of that run. These are all games I think the Hurricanes can win. You know, I believe that if they play teams that are low scoring, the Hurricanes can win those games as well. If they play teams that play back and forth, the Hurricanes can hang with those teams as well. And you look at the way that they've been playing recently, they've been finally producing and finding the back of the net. I just think this is a real good time for us to finally start jumping in on them. Their advanced numbers are starting to kind of measure out to what they actually should be. And I think this is a good time for us to jump in here on a Hurricanes team that I have high hopes for this season. I want to start betting on more this season, and we'll start doing that here this week here in the NHL. Guys, let's go to the sell team. And the sell team, I'll be honest, guys, the sell team has been the most profitable segment for me this year on the show. The buy team has been okay, but the sell team, when I find a team to fade, you want to jump in and start fading this team with me as well. We are fading the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks are going to be arriving home soon from their East Coast road trip after a rough one for them. It was, playing teams like Montreal and Toronto and Ottawa, but it wasn't pretty for them. And I think this is going to be a spot to fade them for the next couple of days. They are not playing any easy matchups. They are going to be tired. They're going to be fatigued. And they played a lot of high-scoring contests that I think will really frustrate them when they come home, and they won't be ready for the level of competition they have to face. So, guys, I understand. They are a bottom feeder in the league. You have to lay puck lines. You have to lay big prices, regulation, team total unders. But this is a team that you want to be fading moving forward for the next week and a half. They are my sell team for the next week. And Bryan, usually I ask Carm, so I'll ask you, what do you think of those buy and sell teams? Are you with me?
I'm with you, at least on the buy team for sure. The sell team, I haven't looked at the schedule, so I don't know what they're playing. But yeah, in fact, Carmine talked about that the other day about Carolina, and that was the first thing he said to me when we met for lunch yesterday. Hey, I told you they were going to start winning. So it worked out very well.
Awesome. I'm happy I didn't forget that because the sell, like I said, the full transparency, I've had a good read on when to fade some of these teams. We'll try and get going with the buy team, but I do think that Carolina will get going. They've been playing well recently already. Best bet segment, Bryan, let's hear it from you. And again, what you have up at Wager Talk today.
Well, this is a great day to not buy my $9 plays, guys. I'm doing 4 shows today, so I'll be all over the place. I've already said on this show that I liked the Montreal side. I use that as a 2% play. Also like the Montreal team total over 2.5. I believe I saw 135. That's a 2% play. Also have a play here on the Vegas team total under, and that'll be my best bet on this show. We talked about Boston, how great Boston's played. They won 13 straight games. Do you know, so far, Boston in their last 10 games at home. Quick question for you, Andrew. Last 10 games at home, Boston, how many goals have they allowed? Combined.
Last 10 games at home, 4? How many?
Seems like it, doesn't it? They have allowed 12
7
goals. 12 goals, 1.2 goals at home, and we're getting a total of 2.5 here on the Golden Knights. Likely playing without, in fact, they are playing without Pietrangelo, their number one defensive scorer. Likely playing without Eichel because of the injury situation. Vegas has been a team. Their passing has been bad. The only goals they're scoring are on rebounds off the goalie. I can't see them getting to 3 goals. Nobody's gotten 3 goals against Boston the last 10 home games. Why would we think Vegas does it? We're playing the under 2.5 here on the Golden Knights at -110. I think that's a terrific bet, and that'll be my best bet on the show this week.
I love team total betting. It's just a great way to get a great price, great way to single out one team. And hey, I tried to guess with you, but 4 goals. It feels like they allow no goals to anybody, Brian. But I mean, a goal a game they're giving up pretty much is just rock solid defense for them. For me, guys, it's going to be just one best bet up in the NHL, at least at this point, over at Wager Talk. But I might add more. We'll see what's going on across all sports and different things like that. But my best bet, I'm going over in the Rangers game. I talked about it, Rangers Blues. Bryan did correct me, and I'm happy he did, that they haven't been playing as well at home this season, the Rangers. But overall, they usually are a better team there and score more goals. The Blues have been giving up goals to everybody. The Rangers defense, they've been struggling. I expect goals when these two teams meet tonight. Hopefully the stars will shine for both clubs. And we're getting a 6 as the total. Give me over 6, Rangers and Blues for my best bet. And Bryan has the team total under 2.5 for the Vegas Golden Knights. Thanks a lot for joining us here on a Monday on Wager Talk TV. Thanks a lot to Bryan Leonard for joining me here on Monday. And guys, we'll see you tomorrow.
Let's finish off 2022 with a bang. First, we'd like to thank everyone as a record number of you took advantage of our Thanksgiving 7-day special. We hope you enjoyed the convenience of getting your favorite handicappers plays daily during the hectic holiday weekend. And we also know that December can be a frenzied month with the holidays and all the sports in play. In the spirit of the season and due to the success of the Thanksgiving special, we are now offering a rest of the calendar year special to get every NFL, college bowl game, NBA, NHL, or any other sport your favorite handicapper releases through December 31st for only $1.99. The early bird really does catch the worm for this special as it starts the day you sign up. No coupon is needed, and you pay only $1.99 today or pay $1.99 in a few days. The choice is simple. Let's have a great ending to 2020.